be sure to hit the link in my bio or link in the description to be sure to hit the link in my bio or check the link out in the description. Get Food of the Gods by Terrence McKenna to follow along. For the next couple of days, my lives will be centered. I hope, maybe I'll do it every day, but you know me, can't nobody do nothing every single day. So beyond that, I'll be able to follow along with the book, because the book got a lot of information in the actual book. I've read it 3 times, but since I've been reading it, I want to kind of impart what's being said in this book. Because when you start talking about psilocybin, you have specific beliefs in reference to what it is and what it ain't. You know, especially when you're talking about drugs, you're talking about spirituality. It's like one is completely separate from the other. But in the Food of the Gods, it's kind of explaining everything about drug use, everything about shamanism, everything about magic and spirituality. When I say everything, maybe I'm being a slight bit facetious and maybe exaggerating, but I mean, you read it for yourself. It's $15 on Amazon. It's a really great book, man. And so, without further ado, because these little videos, I don't want them to be long videos. And it's a 3-prong approach. The first reason that I'm doing this video is, one, for myself. I like to, when I'm reading a book and I really want to retain it, I like to do a video log. And then number 2, I want to do it for people who would never read the book and just kind of want to listen to some spiritual information, living a regular life. And then for 3, for people who read the book along with me, to kind of bring y'all along the journey. So I hope to bring some of y'all on this live with me and we can kind of compare notes. I don't want to read the book for y'all because I think people who read the actual book, I'm not about to listen to nobody read shit. So I wouldn't never put out no content where I'm reading shit. If you can't read, then you probably not ready for the shit that I'm going to be talking about anyway. So I suggest you get the book and read it, or get the audiobook. Listen to the audiobook on Audible. But anyways, when I take my notes, the whole point of this is to paraphrase. And of course, one of the things about the book, this is Food of the Gods by Terrence McKenna, is written in a time where he does a lot of speculating on the future time. And a lot of his speculations are incredibly accurate. So when I'm doing my paraphrasing, I'm paraphrasing because this man knew what he was talking about. He has transitioned, but he was one of our prophets, and his work needs to be shared to the collective. And what you take from this is what you take from this. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything, take any drug, throughout these videos, I'm never suggesting that you take any drugs or do anything. Because at the end of the day, y'all drink Hennessy, y'all smoke cigarettes, y'all do weird pills and stuff like that. Y'all smoke CBD sticks and all of that weird stuff. And I don't have no judgment. But in reference to the conversation, it's very important that you read the book so you understand that I'm referencing the book. But then also have it within your mind to do your own research and come up to your own conclusion on how you should spend your time and what you should intake in the body. The name of the book is Food of the Gods, And one of the key premises of the book is actually food. So think about food of the gods, right? And then think about the food that you eat and why you eat it, and the access to it in the restaurants that you chose to go to, the grocery stores, and like, are you eating and pertaining to being a god? Or are you eating and pertaining to be a social engineered person? Because in reference to food, you learned this in kindergarten, you are what you eat. So shamanism doesn't skip Black Americans. He didn't say that in the book, but I'm paraphrasing. A lot of the book is talking about shamanism. And it's talking about American shamanism, you know, Central American shamanism, South American shamanism. But what about the Detroit East Side shamans? What about the low-end Chicago shamans? What about the New Orleans shamans? How are they protected, venerated, and supported in our Black community? Because if science in the world knows that shamans exist, why is it that young Black Americans don't get to choose that as a profession? So I don't think that we should just shun magic and magical people and spiritual people and shamans if we don't sit back and define it collectively. Understand it collectively to say, this is a shaman, just like this is a doctor, or this is a nurse practitioner, or this is a, you know, whatever. What does a shaman do? A shaman specializes in healing, divination, and magical performance. A shaman's goal is to bring about ecstasy. Ecstasy gives you access to the invisible landscape. In this world, especially in nature, there's a world of fairies, helping spirits, guardians, gargoyles, angels, demons, mythical animals such as unicorns and sea monsters that exist all around us. But when we exist and base our life in society, i.e. our home and then our room, our living room, our bedroom, our bathroom, we are not connected to nature. We can fool ourselves into imagining that we are connected to something based upon our devices and things of that nature. But to be connected to nature, you have to literally look around you. I see a river stream in front of me, flowing effervescently, providing a constant current. I see a multitude of trees. I see wildlife and animals frolicking about. I feel like the lady in the black and white dress might run out and start singing The Sound of Music any moment, for which I know that I'm connected into nature. And this is a personal choice that adults make. But the shaman is able to tap into these particular helping spirits and feel specific things such as psychic surgeries, psychic repairs, healing of trauma, a boost in prosperity. See, it's very important for me to sit by the current. I like to sit directly on the current, and I like to breathe in the current energy. I'm not about to watch no YouTube video of no fucking river and listen to river sounds. Like, I have done that. You know, I've been landlocked. I will listen, I get on my wife's nerves, but I will listen to rainforest music to get into a particular energy and a particular vibration. But at the end of the day, I sit upon the riverbank and observe the current and associate with the current and become one with the current. In reference to the doctor spirits and the healing spirits, we're also in the new moon energy, slightly moving into first quarter moon phase. And these healing energies that persist, wow, that's a hawk. It's amazing. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's a beautiful white hawk flying in the sky. There's a couple of them. I shade to all the ancestors and the healing spirits that are easily accessible. The healing spirits are easily accessible when you get out the damn house. So that's where a shaman resides at. Because everything is accessible in nature. The trick of the colonizer, the trick of the teacher is to keep us in society and keep us away from nature and all that nature has to offer. Because what you understand about nature, I'm in the midst of nature, as y'all can see, but the trees have no leaves in it. So the trees are in a death state. But as we approach the actual spring, these trees will then sprout leaves, because life, death, and resurrection is a natural part of our everyday situation. We don't experience death like we experience death. We only experience shifts in consciousness and awareness, shifts in bodies, carnations, reincarnations, currents, recurrences, resurrections, life. But essentially, the shaman is important to the culture. If we can't identify, if we know that Will Smith is a famous actor, but we don't know who a famous shaman is, and we're a tribal people, then that means that we have no cure. Because the shaman is the healer. The shaman's intent is healing, and the shaman knows, like, if you go and drive from any city to city, you go and deal with an enormous space of nature and wilderness and unforetold fairies and spirits and ancestors and burial grounds. The thing about America is a burial ground. But if we're so conditioned and concerned with the greatest and latest singer and pop star and looking cute and doing this and doing that, and don't really give a fuck about connecting to nature in a way that nature operates, right? So how does nature operate? If you take a seed, right, and you put makeup on the seed and you give the seed a BBL and you put it in the grass and you say, this is a cute ass seed, we gonna grow some cute ass whatever, but you only put it in the ground for 2 days and take it out, and you say, well, I'm a beautiful seed, why is it going to take so long for me to grow into a wonderful bean sprout? But if you're just a normal seed and you sit there and you apply the careful nurturing application of electromagnetic energy in combination with the soil and water, then you will bring bean sprout, but it's going to take like 9 months. When you taking herbs, if you take a herb one time, you're not going to get no effects of it. You never going to get no effects because the energy is real. The shaman energy is real. So it's important for our cultures and our tribes that we identify our shamans, because we're identifying our healers. You can't let these spiritual people stand on mumbo jumbo, but then when you have an actual problem in reference to a specific entity or energy that got you tongue-tied, they don't have a specific cure for you. They don't have any healing, no divination, no magical performance, no way to exorcise the demons. They just have a way to take your money. It's Cash App, PayPal, EBT, credit cards. That's the bottom line. Y'all talk about the money that's been spent and the money that's been made, but the stories about healing, you don't never hear about that. I don't never hear about none of y'all reviews. Y'all ever hear about, why y'all never hear about none of these reviews from these readings that y'all been doing all today? I make it a point that if I'm doing a reading, I'm going to get a positive review every time I do it. And I ain't going to do it a lot. You treat your readings like a factory and you ain't getting no positive reviews. Where's the positive reviews? You're not actually healing. You're not actually curing. What you actually doing is making a lot of money. But so is Pepsi. So is Coca-Cola. So is Lay's potato chips. So is Wrap Snacks. So is Ramen noodles. So is Popeye's chicken. So is Apple. That don't make it necessarily spiritual if it's destructive in the aspect of, if we don't understand spirituality and how to access spirituality, but we can access the information on spirituality, that don't actually make it spiritual. It makes it informational. But when it comes to our people, they're actually suffering. And they actually need healing. They actually need seances. They actually need exorcisms. They actually need spiritual rituals. They actually need orishas. They actually need fucking priestesses. They actually need root workers. Legit motherfuckers. The same way, if I go to a goddamn restaurant and the food is nasty, some of y'all spiritual work is nasty. And that's just how it is. Restaurants don't be shit sometimes, and that's okay. I'm not saying stop reading. It's a place for you. Language limits reality. However, language is magic. I tell y'all, communication, the ancestors keep popping up on me about this goddamn communication. How everybody is emoting, but nobody is communicating. But if you were to communicate effectively in a space of positive energy, that is the magic. Think about within your relationships how you limit the reality based upon your negative emotions, based upon your triggers. If you got triggers, then you're not going to actually speak in an expansive, communicative way. Sometimes you're not even going to say shit. How are you in a space in a relationship and we know that the word is God and language is magic, but you're not going to talk to your nigga? You're not going to talk to your man? How did that work? So you may think that buying a course, getting a reading, listening to a video is going to tap you into the spiritual realm, when in fact, shamanic approaches tap you into the spiritual realm. What is shamanic approaches? Specific realms of healing, divination, magical performance, ritual, nature work. Access to the fairy kingdom, the different realms that you don't see when you're going back and forth to work every day, getting that money for rent. Unfortunately. What Terence McKenna says, and if you're interested in what I'm referencing, is Food of the Gods by Terence McKenna. I got a link in my bio if you want a direct link, or you can Google it like you Google anything else. But you know me, I'm trying to get my little, what you call that? My little Amazon money. I got 4 kids. I be trying to get it in multiple ways. So it ain't going to cost you no more money besides just going to the link, helping me get a little bit of that affiliate money. You know what I'm saying? If you want to buy the book, just click the link in my bio. You know, I give me a little percentage off of that. Trying to, you know, knock off some points everywhere I can go to, you know. But It's an interesting way. I tell this people all the time, if they interested in starting a YouTube channel and they don't know where to start, get a book and read the book and talk about the book. And as you talk about the book, you'll become a better communicator, for one. And then for two, you'll relate to people who are interested in the same literature you are. You'll build your community by people who share the same mind as you. Find a popular totem that you could, like, you don't live in a vacuum. If you like fucking pink bunnies, and it's a book about pink bunnies, you're going to find a whole bunch of people that like pink bunnies just like you. And that's just a weird ass example, but that's the first thing that popped into my mind. So when we introduce psychedelic experience, when we introduce so we're not talking about getting high in the reference of just getting high. We're talking about microdosing. We're talking about when you take a herb and you want a specific healing to come from an herb, you're going to have to take it for like 21 days to get the effects of it. If you just take it for one day, you might have a specific experience, but the goal is to create the same energy as the plant. And the same way as you're not going to just plant something in the ground for 2 days and expect the whole corn stalk, is the same way you're not going to take a herb and expect the results in a couple of in 2 days, right? Science won't save you. However, when you in Earth, you in Earth, it's nature, you've seen parks, you've seen nature, right? And while that nature presents itself, but you're not interested in that. You're into the city life, the bricks, the buildings, walking up the stairway, whatever the case may be. So essentially, you're cut off from a large percentage of the Earth and the communication thereabouts that goes back and forth. And the reality of why society is like this is so you could be cut off from the communication between you and plant life. Plant life helps you connect with the invisible spirit realm. See, some of us can do it naturally, but not all of us can do it naturally, but all of us can do it with specific psychedelic experiences. In the book, Terrence McKenna talks about a 3-day trip that he took on a boat to this remote place where this lady had some ayahuasca that wasn't like the shit that y'all be buying from niggas online. And he was talking about the spiritual experience that happened. And it's like he traveled 3 days into a forest that at a certain point he ain't know if he was going to be able to ever come back home. But just to go through that and come back and tell you about that experience and then give it to you in a philosophical, more of like a scholarly way that yes, the invisible spiritual realm is real. Magical attack is real. People putting spells on you is real. People hexing you is real. Being under demonic possession is real. And you see this shit when you tap in with the psilocybin. And this is me paraphrasing, but it's a thing called philosophy. I thought it would be dope if you had something that's called philosophy, right? And philosophy would be science, and philosophy, like psilocybin, but philosophy would be shamanism, right? Because when you are eating whatever you're eating, hamburger, spaghetti, processed food, spam, rigatoni, you're becoming that. Right? When you share a food, you that food becomes of you and you become of it. Now, think about the kids in the community and think about their diet and think about how they express themselves. Right? Think about how they express themselves. and then understand the reason why they express themselves the way that they express themselves, for good or bad, is completely based upon the food that they eat. Because the suppression and expression of the various abilities can be enhanced through food. Meaning that if you fed your child, see, some of y'all let your child choose the food based upon their temperament. Your child want to eat bullshit and they gonna cry until they get bullshit, and you give it to them, and in a sense you dumb your child down. As parents, you got to think that the food that you give your child is either going to enhance them through life, or is it going to hold them back? Giving your child milk and cheese and all of this type of stuff is not going to assist them. It's not going to help them. And because it's not helping them, we have our ways of thinking. We have our ways of calcification. We have our ways of being depressed. And it's mainly because of the food that we eating. You think that pig want to die because you wanted to eat bacon? You think that cow wanted to die because you wanted to eat a hamburger? And since them animals didn't want to die and you ingest that meat and now you all of a sudden sad, it's because that cow is fucking sad. That chicken was fucking sad. That chicken didn't want to fucking die at all. Nobody wakes up and thinks I want to just die and be somebody else's fucking meal. So when certain energies and entities attach to you, it's mainly through the food and through the diet. However, when we want to tap into our spiritual truth, we gotta fucking understand that we can't eat meat every day all the time. When we want to raise our vibration, especially if it's not necessary to eat. I can see if you was in a forest and you ain't have nothing but a squirrel's ass to eat, by all means, fucking bon appetit. But every single restaurant got vegan options, and beyond vegan options is all types of vegetables, is all types of proteins, is all types of meals, websites, YouTube channels, books that you can read on plant-based diets, alkaline diets, vegan diets, in reference to understanding how to raise your vibration through food versus just eating some shit because you want to eat it. And then not even recognizing that a possession wants you to eat it. Like whatever worm is in you, whatever parasite is in you is constantly saying, hey, let's eat a pig's ass. So when you eat a food, I'm going into chapter 2. When you eat a food, you become a food. So this is something that I'm paraphrasing as well that got me kind of thinking about the real white man. Who is the white man? Is the white man the Caucasian or the European? I don't think so. I actually think that the white man is salt, sugar, and flour. 3 things that is abundant in our actual diet and 3 things that we absolutely do not need in our diet. I say that the white man is salt, sugar, flour, and we can leave Europeans and Caucasians alone. And we need to do a full race war on salt, sugar, and flour. I mean, call up NOI, call up the Hebrew Israelites, call up the Moorish Science Temple. We can all, as a society, come together and say, hey, as all black people, we gonna unite to fight against the white man. Salt, sugar, and flour. That's the true enemy. There is no scientific basis to say that you need to eat salt, sugar, or flour. You can live your whole life and eat food every single day, never ingest salt, sugar, and flour, and be cool, because your fruit gonna have salt in it, and your veggies gonna have a level of acidic properties associated with it to keep your pH balanced. So when we look at society, it's 2 types of energies. It's symbiosis and parasite. We all know what parasite is, but symbiosis is bound or open, and symbiosis is a result of a deep habit. Later in the book, he breaks down the difference between drugs and how you take drugs, and that's why I'm a big proponent of microdosing, because microdosing is not like you getting high. The analogy I use is if you go to CVS and buy a bottle of Tylenol, which a large percentage of us could do, and we decide to take all of those pills, I'm pretty sure you're going to probably have to go to the hospital. Now, if you took 30 microdose pills, you would probably enjoy your fucking night, right? You wouldn't, like, nothing bad particularly happen unless you have a specific bad trip. But if you never want to have a bad trip, you wouldn't take a whole bunch of microdose pills. You would take one microdose pills for 4 days. And after 4 days, you stop taking them for 3 days. This is not an addictive process. This is more of a habitual process, so you can begin to merge with the network of the invisible spirit world. And if you don't got this ability naturally, which I feel like none of us do, a lot of us are capped and a lot of us are imaginative and egoic and want to be spiritual. But then the reason why I don't think nobody does and nobody is because everybody looks at spirituality as a fucking feather in they fucking cap. Hopefully what you understand in my cap and my rap is that I'm trying to bring about some information. Humans have a complex relationship with plants. So when you think about a human in reference to like a dog, a cat, a squirrel, a giraffe, a lion, a doggy, a pig, humans have a certain level of consciousness that separates us from the animal kingdom. Right? So for humans, for the most of our life, every other animal is beneath us. But then you got to start to understand, like, why is humans different from animals? Like, why can't you talk to your dog? Why can't you talk to your cat? Like, why is your cat not building a house like you building a house? And it's a result of consciousness. But for a large percentage, for millions and millions of years, human beings operated just like a dog and cat, based upon scientific studies. If you choose to believe that. I'm just giving you, paraphrasing from what he's saying in the book. Because when he started in this actual part of the book, it's a tough part to read. For me anyways, because I'm like, how the fuck they know what was happening 250 million years ago and how it was going? Because they seen some bones and they bones had tests and shit. How they know that them tests is right? We just going to take everybody's word for it. But if they smarter than me and they know much more than I do, I'll let them have it. So all of a sudden, humans get this fucking intelligence and consciousness, and they start building and start civilizing in tribes. But you got to understand that there's animals out here. It's all types of things that is attacking you, and you got to actually It's like nature is after you, animals is after you, other tribes is after you, want you for your resources. You need an advantage. And this is where plants come in. Plants are magical. And so for me, my plant journey, I spent a lot of times really like years understanding herbs, getting into the herbs. And I really didn't really get into psilocybin and mushrooms and nothing like that. I was really into my herbs. But I don't know, in 2022, like the first of the year, and this always happened. In 2017, I stopped eating meat. Just New Year's Eve. I just stopped eating meat. 2022, I was really introduced into microdosing. So I've been microdosing for 68 days. It's day 68. And And I can understand at a much more deeper level. And part of me, you know how like when you advance and you elevate and you listen to like your old shit and you process your old energy, you almost feel like, damn, I didn't never even know what I was talking about. It's like I was really blind to the spiritual world. And it's not like I woke up and I just magically opened myself up to these realms. I'm saying this is day 68 of a careful daily application of small doses of psilocybin that don't get you high at all. Think of the word micro dosing. Micro mean micro. If you think that you're going to get high from a micro dose, then you're going to be like disappointed. If you're trying to get high from a micro dose. So the point of my conversation is to bring some understanding to a situation and a topic that I feel like has no actual understanding. How can you talk about something that you don't know? I understand how herbs and plants work, so I understand how psilocybin works, and it works in the same fashion. It's not going to accept you abusing it. It'll let you abuse it, but you're not getting what you came for. You're just using it like it's weed, and it's not weed. It's not for you to party. It's not for you to fuck, because you got the spirits for that. Sometimes you got to work through that. And I'm telling you, the best thing to do if you want to macro dose, if you want to get high, because I'm not here to judge. If you want to macro dose, go ahead. But be in a situation where you can communicate. Because when you are tripping, your ability to speak, your ability to formulate your patterns of language is amazing. And what will happen is the energies and entities that was attached to you because you never communicated them, they release, man. I'm telling you, this microdose process been real, man, because it was times in my relationship where there was things that I should have said that I never said, and there was things that was holding me back from saying the things that I actually needed to say. And the ability to be able to say this, the ability to really work through my shadow work in real life, man, you can't actually beat it. And I would wish that, if these things interested you and you try it and you don't get your results right away, maybe this could be more of an inspiration to continue your shadow work, to continue to push through, to continue to communicate, to continue to do research, and continue to not give up on developing your spiritual gifts and finding inner peace and connecting. It's not inconsequential. It's not subjective. Nature exists, not for me specifically. Anybody can pull up to the park and absorb and pull up to the river or to the lake or to the pond, right? So, tap in. In his book, he referenced, how did human beings change so quick? Psilocybin, DMT, etc. And the reason why I'm saying psilocybin, because we know that it's a psychoactive drug. We know that it's a psychedelic. We know that if you take it in high doses, you can hallucinate, right? But you can do the same thing with Benadryl, right? If you take a lot of Benadryl, you can hallucinate. The purpose for Benadryl is not for you to hallucinate. It's for to help you with your allergies. So if you're trying to get a competitive advantage in your business, in your workplace, we are in a competitive environment. It's tribes, it's other tribes. If you got a career, it's somebody else that's in your same career that's looking at you, trying to steal your ideas. You need an edge. You need your own personal limitless pill. And so if you're just chilling and you got it all figured out and you don't got no shadow work to do, I'm just probably a screaming black dude that sound crazy. But if you sit around and you got a fire that's within yourself, it's a warrior that's within you, it's a tribal nature within you, psilocybin, Yeah, it promotes sexual activity. You know, they use psilocybin. We're going to talk about this in chapter 3 and 4. They used it for mating rituals. They used it to help you fight in wars. They used it for all types of shit. Nowadays, they call it magic mushrooms. Because in fact, and what I'm saying, you could literally do scholarly reports. They study it in college now. It's researchable. What I'm saying. Even the conversation that I'm having with you in this video is shit that I'm pulling out of actual book. Now, if your mind ain't specifically open to it, that's okay. Because I've heard about mushrooms for years and my mind wasn't open to it. So therefore, I didn't give a fuck about it. So I'm definitely going to give that grace to my listeners, no doubt. This conversation is not for everybody, 100%. So if this is over your head and if it's not for you, don't feel bad about it, for sure. This is for people who ready. This is for people who don't want to be in no type of possession, that want to see every fucking spirit, that want to see every fucking reality around them, that got ancestors that done left and they want to communicate to them. They don't want to be in a space where they sad all the time. And in real talk, everybody gonna go to that realm. We all got a date. And we can be afraid of it and fear it, or we could embrace that shit and understand it and live a complete and full life, because knowing that you're not going to actually go nowhere. And if you keep that part of your life shut off, then all you going to do is fear death. And sometimes we think our fears are noble qualities, when in fact they're just fears. So when you talk about certain tribes and certain civilizations that ended up surviving, it was mainly the psilocybin tribes. And when we start studying like chapter 8 and 9, and they start talking about the mythologies and the different cults that was associated with the psilocybin plant, then you can kind of see why these certain energies and entities were gods. When you talk about secret societies now and different energies that they tap into, and you might think that is some spooky ooky shit, mainly they probably taking a drug that gets them tapped into a specific realm where they can tap into that specific deity that they got that lodge ordained to. That's why it's an actual secret society. Because one, your mind can't even handle the fact that it's an actual entity housed in that specific location. And two, you're going to have to, everybody can access it, but how do you access it? The modality of psychoactive drugs. So, physical, like I said, people, small usage over a long period of time, knowing how to use it, like drinking for ritualistic purposes, is much different from a person that's drinking to get drunk. So you got to look at everything at the same way. You can abuse anything. You can abuse anything, or you could use it in a ritualistic fashion. And the tribes that did, they had physical strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength, and ultimately language, communication, which is so important for our people. And when you talk about these devices, technology, the lockdowns, one of the things that we are not doing is communicating. Psilocybin helps with your pineal gland and your pheromonal levels. So this helps with your attractiveness, but think about attractiveness as you being a specific magnet. We all got soulmates out here in twin flames. And you know it, like if you can imagine somebody in real talk, like you could be imagining like some rap star or something like that That's cool. But you know, if you can imagine somebody, you done had some girlfriends and boyfriends and it ain't work, like, you know, you can date, but you just haven't found the right one. The only thing is you got to work on your attraction. But think about your attraction and your attractiveness being the same thing, like your ability to attract an ideal partner or an ideal friend. Cause once you get your communication together, it's kind of like your game and your machismo and all of that. But it's also your pheromone. So when all of these things is in play, like, you gonna feel good about yourself. Like, day 68, boy, I'm telling you, the silver fox is on the prowl. That is no cap. But yeah, we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to go into chapter 3 and 4 tomorrow. But the overall gist is the adaptation of psychoactive drugs or psychoactive plants or any plants. It could be fucking chamomile. But make sure you take chamomile every day and you'll become a chamomile. You know, I love drinking roses and rose tea. Like, I still drink tea every night. I still drink mugwort because I'm trying to become a mugwort. Right? We talking about adaptation to the plant world in the fairy kingdom. It's an encyclopedia of herbs. And then all of these herbs is assigned, not all of them, but a large percentage of these herbs is particular deities that's attributed to the herbs. So it'd be like mugwort is associated with Diana, right? Or something to that effect. Now, it's telling you right there to access the realm of Diana or Hercules or whatever entity or energy that's within the book. And even deeper, I think you can make up energies and assign them to particular herbs, and the possibilities is endless, because the only limits that we have to our magical processes is language. And when you create the particular spell or word in reference to what you see in the spiritual realm based upon your spiritual contact, ashe, so it is. Now the key is, are you adapting? Are you connecting? Or are you watching your TV, your devices, and in your home, in your apartment building, in your office, in your car, but not in nature? All right. So it's very simple. Hope y'all take this ride with me. Like I said, the link is in the bio. Got the little Amazon affiliate. And of course, buy the book for your own. It ain't going to cost you no extra if you buy it off the link. It's just going to help me out. Give me a couple.